For the next several weeks, I'm going to be sharing where I believe God is calling First Wayne Street United Methodist Church as we strive to become a welcoming and missional community of faith, reaching the diverse community living and working downtown by embodying and extending the good news of Jesus. God is calling us to take 4 key shifts to position ourselves to be the church God is calling us to be. John Ortberg wrote a book called "If You Want to Walk on Water, You Have to Get Out of the Boat." The whole idea is based on a story from Matthew chapter 14. Just before the story I'm about to read, Jesus had fed a crowd of over 5,000. And in verse 22 of chapter 14, it says, "Right then, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead to the other side of the lake while he dismissed the crowds. When he sent them away, he went up on a mountain to pray by himself. Evening came and he was alone. Meanwhile, the boat, fighting a strong headwind, was being battered by the waves and was already far away from the land. Very early in the morning, he came to his disciples walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified and said, 'It's a ghost!' They were so frightened they screamed. Just then, Jesus spoke to them, 'Be encouraged, it's me. Don't be afraid.' Peter replied, 'Lord, if it's you, order me to come to you on the water.' And Jesus said, 'Come.' Then Peter got out of the boat and was walking on the water towards Jesus. Folks, I believe Jesus is inviting us to get out of our boats and come to him. And let's be honest, getting out of our boats in order to walk on water is risky, scary, and takes a great deal of courageous faith. As I've shared before, since 1999, the number of folks in the U.S. who are meaningfully connected to a house of faith fell from 70 to 47% in 2021. That means there's never been a better time to take steps to share the love of Jesus with our family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, classmates, and complete strangers. There are currently more people outside the church than inside. The field is ripe for the harvest. At First Wayne Street, the mission field has been rapidly growing around us. A recent report indicates that new housing options downtown can't keep up with the demand. People want to be downtown. And as this congregation has remained downtown, we have witnessed that growing mission field all around us. More businesses and housing developments are breaking ground around us regularly. The Rescue Mission and the Redemption House are basically right across the street, and opportunities for meaningful missional connection are all around us. Continued new developments have been started during one of the most difficult seasons for the church, as we are facing a global pandemic, denominational issues, and political division all at once. And that creates the potential for tension and uncertainty. And it's in this environment that Jesus is calling us to get out of our boats. Now is the time to get out of the boat. Now is the time to take that first risky and courageous step of faith. I believe it's important to be honest about the current reality of our church. Now, before I share some information that some might find discouraging, I want to be clear that First Wayne Street is not unlike the majority of churches in the United States. Research indicates that less than 10% of churches are growing, and the remaining 90% of churches are in plateau or decline. And that research also indicates that a lot of the churches that are growing are not growing by new confessions of faith, but by transfers. So where is First Wayne Street? Well, hopefully, we're at the end of a 45-year pattern of slow and steady decline. I don't know about you, but I see that as good news. Now, I know some of you already think I'm crazy, but why would I think a 45-year pattern of slow and steady decline is good news? Well, because it indicates that we have nothing to lose as we take courageous steps of faith outside of the comfort of our boat. So let's be honest. When some of us talk about the good old days, when the church was full, if we look at the numbers, the church wasn't actually growing. Because the church means so much to us. it can be difficult to accept that reality. First Wayne Street is a remarkable church with great history and a powerful tradition. Members of this congregation can and should take a healthy sense of pride in many of the incredible ministries offered in and through our congregation. We have a strong traditional music program. We have a strong witness through our mission giving to our community. We have a strong tradition of generosity to giving to the local church and our foundation. Many of those outside of our congregation know us as the Water Bottle Church. Others know us as the Messiah by Candlelight Church. We have growing connections and partnerships with Redemption House, Charis House, Rescue Mission, the Central Branch YMCA, Associated Churches, Indian Village Elementary School, Wellspring, Alive Community Outreach, and other partnerships throughout the city. We continue to establish new relationships and develop potential partnerships with Faith and Trinity United Methodist churches. We often talk about our desire to get back to normal. However, I believe God is inviting us to use this time as an opportunity to prayerfully discern our next, rather than longing to get back to the way things were. We should see this as an opportunity to hit the reset button and run some system updates. The world is rapidly changing around us, and to be honest, the church usually lags about 20 to 30 years behind. Church growth experts have suggested that we simply cannot go back to the church of 2019. To be honest, our normal may not have been as effective as we'd like to think when it comes to making disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. As I mentioned, our congregation is in the middle, or hopefully the end of a 45-year pattern of slow and steady decline. I believe it's important to be open and honest and transparent in regard to where we are as a congregation. The danger of slow and steady decline is that it often goes unnoticed until it's too late. If we don't make decisions to change the course of our trajectory, we might find ourselves at the crossroads faced in recent history by other local churches who had to close the doors. I believe that God is calling First Wayne Street to be a welcoming and missional community of faith, reaching the diverse community living and working downtown as we embody and extend the good news of Jesus Christ into our community. Now, I believe that there are 4 key shifts that will help us get there. I'll briefly talk about these 4 key shifts over the next several weeks. The shifts that I believe God is calling us to make here at First Wayne Street are to add an urban missionary to our staff, to launch a modern worship gathering, to become more missionally engaged in our community, and to make some building upgrades, especially to our 3rd floor youth ministry environment. Now, none of these changes are going to happen overnight, but we need to take intentional, purposeful, and quick steps outside of our boat. So the first shift is to add an urban missionary to our staff. This would be a shared position with Alive Community Outreach, initially funded through conference and district grants to help us reach our mission field. The urban missionary will focus on building strategic partnerships and establishing a missional presence at Electric Works, the Central Branch YMCA, and with those living, working, and playing downtown. The urban missionary will help us have meaningful connections with those Pastor Angelo works with through Alive Community Outreach and the Peacemaker Academy, helping First Wayne Street become a safe, welcoming, loving, and nurturing place for those we are not currently reaching. This will be a bridge-building ministry, bringing First Wayne Street and Alive Community Outreach into the community and bringing the community to us. As the urban missionary helps us develop strategic partnerships and become a safe, welcoming, loving, and nurturing place for those we are currently reaching and those we are not currently reaching, the need for the remaining key shifts will become apparent. Again, this is an incredible congregation with a rich history and tradition, and I'm not calling for us to change what we're currently doing. However, I am inviting us to consider what God is calling us to do next. The urban missionary will help us focus our efforts to be better positioned to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world right here in downtown Fort Wayne, Indiana. I want to invite you to join me next week as we'll talk about the second key shift of adding a modern worship gathering here at First Wayne Street. I also want to invite you to be in prayer. And that prayer is simply to ask God to give us the courage to step out of the boat. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay well. Have an awesome day.